Hello and welcome to a video on systematic listing. So this video is all about listing different options and doing it in a way that's systematic so that we don't miss off any possibilities. So first of all, Andrew is going to have a meal. He can choose one starter and one main from the menu. And this is our menu here. We've got our starters and our mains. And we need to write down all of the possible combinations that Andrew can choose. So just imagine Andrew going into a restaurant and this is his menu. It's obviously not very extensive, but it's just a nice simple menu. How many different combinations are there that Andrew can choose? So let's assume that Andrew chooses soup as his starter. So what can he have for his main now that he's chosen soup for his starter? Well, it doesn't matter. He can have either one of these three options. So he could have soup with pasta. So that's one possible combination. But he could also have soup with pizza or soup with salad. So we've found three possible combinations so far, but remember that's only with soup as the starter. What about if Andrew decides to have dough balls instead? Well, he can have exactly the same. He could have dough balls with pasta, pizza or salad. And the final option is if he decides to have garlic bread. So he could have garlic bread again with each of these three possible mains. So we've written down all of the possible combinations that Andrew can choose, and you can see that there are 9 in total. Now we can also calculate 9 because there are 3 starters to choose from and there are 3 mains to choose from. So the total number of combinations should be 3 multiplied by 3, which does indeed give us 9. Okay, let's have a look at another question. So George is going to flip a coin 3 times, list all of the possible outcomes. So it's a fair coin. So you've only got the 2 options. You've only got heads and tails. So for example, he could get tails, tails, tails. That would be one option. Or he could get something like heads, tails, heads. So that would be another option. So how many different outcomes are there? So the way I'm going to approach this is, first of all, let's think about all of the possible outcomes he could get if he gets heads on the first flip. So if he gets heads on the first flip, he could get heads, heads, heads. That would be one possible outcome. He could get heads, heads, tails. That's another possible outcome. He could also get heads, tails, heads. So heads, tails, heads. And then there's one more with heads. He could get heads, tails, tails. Heads, tails, tails. So there's 4 possible ways of getting heads on the first flip. Now let's think about if he gets tails on the first flip. So if we just repeat the process, he could get tails, tails, tails. He could get tails, tails, and then heads. He could get tails, heads, tails. Tails, heads, tails. And then final option would be tails, heads, heads. Tails, heads, heads. So how many outcomes are there? Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 possible outcomes. So if you did get 8, well done. But again, let's think about why there are 8. Remember, there's 3 flips, and on each flip, there are 2 possible outcomes. You could get heads or tails on the first flip, heads or tails on the second flip, and heads or tails on the third flip. So we're just going to do 2 times 2 times 2, and that does indeed give us 8. Okay, let's do one more question. Here are 4 number cards, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Write down all of the possible 3-digit numbers that can be made using the cards. So I encourage you to pause the video and give this one a go yourself first. So again, let's go through this systematically, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to start off with the smallest number that we can make and then just get bigger and bigger. So what is the smallest 3-digit number that we can make? Well, we can't repeat digits, so we can't have 111. So the smallest number would be 123. Now let's just keep going up. So what would the next number after 123 be? Well, that would be 124. Now we can't have 125 because there's no 5, so we're going to have to move up in the tens column. So instead of 120, we're going to have to move up to 130. So it's going to be 132. And then the next one, well, that would be 134. And now again, we're going to have to move up to the 40s. So it'll be 142 and then 143. And then that's it. That's all of the hundreds because we can't go up to 150. So we've got all of the hundreds. Now let's move on to the 200s. So we're going to have 213. That will be the smallest 200 number that we can make. Then 214. And again, let's move up to the not the 20s. We can't use the 20s because that will be repeating the 2. It would be the 30s. So 231, then 234. And now the 40s, 241 and 243. And you can see we've got all of the 200s now. So let's go on to the 300s. So let's use fuchsia for this one. 312, 314. Now the 20s, 321, 324. Now the 30s, not the 30s, the 40s I should say. 341, 342. Finally, let's do the 400s, and I think I'm going to use sort of this mango colour. No, actually, that's not going to come out very well. Let's use orange. So we've got 412, 413. Now the 20s, 421, 423. And now the 30s, 431, 432. So notice how I did that systematically to give me all of my different outcomes. How many have we got in total? Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4 lots of 6 are 24. So there are 24 possible 3-digit numbers that we can make. Now, did you get all of them, first of all? If you did, congratulations. If not, then not to worry. Just get some more practice with this. But as a bonus, just as a bonus question, do you know where this 24 came from without listing any of the numbers? Well, let's think about it again. And first of all, let's think about the first digit. Now, how many different options are there for this first digit? Well, there's 4. We can either have 100, 200, 300 or 400. So there's 4 options for the first digit. Now, how many options are there for the second digit? Now, you might be tempted to say 4, but you would be incorrect because we've already used one of the options. Now there's only 3. Now there's only 3 because if you think about it, if this was a 2, now you can't have a 2 here. You can only have a 1, 3 or a 4 here. So there's actually only 3 possible options. And now finally, let's think about the units. How many different options are there? Well, now we've used 2 of the numbers. Now there are only 2 left. So again, if this was 4 and a 1, now we've only got a 2 and a 3 left to choose from. So there's 4 for the first digit, multiplied by 3 for the second digit, multiplied by 2 for the third digit. 4 times 3 is 12, 12 times 2 is 24. So hopefully this video was useful, and just remember that whenever you're listing outcomes, try to do it systematically because it's definitely the most efficient method to use. So thanks again for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Take care.